Hey everybody, it's Wednesday, the 5th of June, 2024, and the market's finished at an all-time high here. We've been talking for a while, I've been talking for a while, about my poem about low volume, and that is only price pays. We've been hearing about the light volume over and over again as this market just continues to go higher. And I'm going to tell you that the volume doesn't matter. We get paid on price action. And, we had the lowest volume maybe of the year for the SPY today. If we take a look down there, I don't really think it matters. But what's more important is the volume relationship you see on a day-to-day basis. For instance, when we got shaken out of this, which we were looking for, if you go back and look at my video from a week or so ago, we were looking for a shakeout below this prior resistance. And then as it rocketed up through there on an increase in volume, from that point, that's what mattered. So if we measure from there, we simply just set an anchor and say from that low, the buyers have maintained control. Now today, they finally made a higher high above the flat to rising 5-day moving average. And it occurred in a way that often occurs, that I talk about on Twitter quite often, pointed out to subscribers of Alphatrends this morning, which is we gap up and we don't chase that gap. We wait for it to get back above the volume weighted average price, and then that's where the purchase is, with a stop below the low of the day, and then you raise your stop accordingly underneath these higher lows and hold for the time frame that's appropriate for you. Either way, we're at a new all-time high. We're there on low volume, and you shouldn't care about the volume. You should care about your account and the value and how much it increased today, because if you're long the S&P, it increased 1.1%. It doesn't matter if it was on heavy volume or light volume. The NASDAQ showed a gain of 2% today, also on lighter volume than average, and it doesn't matter. We saw the higher high above the flat to rising 5-day moving average in here as well, and now we're at new all-time highs. You just can't argue with a bull market. And, the prior pullback below that prior resistance, we were thinking that these would be a trap, a little shakeout, and that's in fact exactly what they are. So the buyers are in control. We're a little bit extended. Buying up here for a new purchase probably isn't the best idea until you see some kind of little pullback that makes a higher low, and then to buy as it emerges from that with a stop underneath the higher low, and then listen to the message of the market as far as how long it allows you to hold it. The Russell 2000, as I've been saying, and I continue to believe, it's been a waste of time. We gapped up here at the beginning of the month and sold off, and then today we saw a little bit better action. And if you look at the shorter term time frame, we gapped up and did get back above the volume weighted average price right here after that shakeout. So you would have held in, but the bottom line is it's just not worth the aggravation for a market that is so choppy like this. Here's a 30-minute time frame. Now it's starting to set up and look a little bit better, but when you compare it to the more stable trends of some of the other markets, it's just not worth the time. So why even talk about it? Let's move forward to the semiconductors, which continue to be led by NVDA, of course, which was up $60 or 5% today. Just a massive winner here. They have their split, I believe, on Friday. That might be the end of this move, running up into that. This is the buy the rumor, sell the news type thing. Just be aware of that. I'm not trying to call a top. I'm not that foolish, but I'm saying just, when you see these types of rallies that continue to run like this, know what your strategy is, know what your risk tolerance is. That's all. The semiconductors, though, they are, of course, at new all-time highs here as well. It's hard to be bearish with new all-time highs. The biotechs, I was hoping we would get a little bit of a pullback in here today and then break beyond this resistance. Instead, we just broke beyond that resistance, and it looks to me like the buyers are going to be able to maintain control. Now, maybe we're going to see a day or two of strength and then pull back and test this. That's what I'm hoping for in terms of buying it. I don't want to chase this strength. That's me. We just rallied 3% today. I don't want to chase that. But if we see a pullback that creates a higher low, then to buy as it emerges out of there with a stop underneath the higher low, then I think that the buyers could, sustain an upward movement, and it's starting to look like it has the ability to maintain some bullishness. We've seen this run, however, just keep in mind, we've seen the run from 87 to 94. That's 7 points. That's about 9% here. So A pullback would be desirable first. Come back down and test the year-to-date anchored VWAP. That's this one. Come back and test the anchor from the year-to-date high. Somewhere in that range, that would really be the best scenario, and that's what I'm going to be looking for to set up in the next few days. It's possible I miss a great upside trade. It wouldn't be the first time. I, in fact, missed BROS, at least initially. I purchased it later today. But Bros was one I had put on Twitter yesterday. I don't put a lot of stocks on there, but I try to make them good ones when I do. And BROS is breaking beyond the anchored VWAP from the IPO. It created a nice longer-term base here on the weekly time frame. It was up on big volume. Lighter volume as it consolidated gave us clues that the sellers weren't getting aggressive. And then flipping back to the daily time frame, that's what that consolidation looked like after the earnings report. And today we saw the follow-through on the 15-minute time frame. Where I had purchased it I wasn't paying attention to it right here. That is where I should have purchased it initially. Instead, I purchased it over here with a stop underneath the daily VWAP. So we saw an aggressive pullback down to the VWAP and then rally from there. I sold some up in here, and I'm holding a position, but that one is probably going to be a pretty good winner here over the next coming weeks and months. Find your entry spot. Maybe tomorrow it can pull back like this, test today's VWAP, and then be a purchase somewhere around here with a stop below the low of the day. That's what I would be looking for if I was not involved in it. Financial stocks were up a little bit. They're just kind of biding time up in here, but they're still in a primary uptrend. So let's talk about it right now, actually. This is Solana. As you know, I've been looking at Solana, saying that it's getting ready to go, that what's been holding it back here on this 1 hour time frame is the anchor off of the high that we saw last month, and we broke beyond that yesterday. What occurred before that, though, was the higher high above the flat to rising 5-day moving average, and that's what I constantly talk about, is making a higher high above a flat to rising 5-day moving average. I initiated my full position here yesterday, assuming that we would make it through this anchor because Bitcoin was as strong as it was. So here's what the daily chart looks like. And this daily chart, of course, we have been consolidating, as you know, above the anchor from the high that we'd seen previously this year. And that was giving me clues that it was ready to go. I don't know what happened to my moving averages on here, but we also saw the 20-day moving average turn back, holding, and the rising 50-day moving average as well. Bitcoin also, same story. We saw that the anchor from the all-time high held in here, and just recently on that hourly time frame, we're seeing some nice movement here. This is where the buyers officially regained control, and why I was bullish Monday morning on JC's show right in here, saying it's beginning right here, right now, because that's where it made the higher high above the flat to rising 5-day moving average. The risk was if it got back below this level. It's not back below that level. So instead, you want to raise your stops up underneath the higher lows that are appropriate for the time frame that you're trading. Your time frame and my time frame might be different. If you're longer term, I would say, probably want to keep your stops somewhere underneath this anchor right in here. Anyways, so crypto is behaving well. There are other cryptos that are behaving well also, but I'm not here to cover all of those. Energy names, just stay away from them. We spoke about the possibility that this was a fifth wave Elliott move down into here. Well, guess what? We saw that it gave us no reason to be a buyer. The sellers are still in control. Just stay away from energy names.